mobility, okay? So your lat is this big. I roll forward and backwards. I want to go down here. But the more that we can floss and you just roll up and down. It's a little bit less intense than is to let one or two fingers go. One, shrugging the shoulders up, and two. What's up, everybody? In this video, we're going to go over how to properly and comfortably front squat. A lot of people struggle with the front squat, getting into the proper position, okay? And we're going to give you some small, minor details today that will hopefully help this movement become a lot more comfortable for you. First thing we're going to talk about is our lat mobility, okay? So your lat is this big muscle here. It goes all the way down to the lower back, and it connects, which is important for what we're talking about today. It connects to the top of the humerus, the top of the upper arm, okay? So a lot of times if you've ever been underneath the bar in a front squat position or a front rack position, you feel it in your wrists, right? A lot of people, my wrist, I need to loosen up my wrist mobility. Guys, that's not your wrist, right? It's your lats. Think about if this muscle is tight, talk about getting your elbows forward, right? If you can only get your elbows forward so far because this muscle right here is tight, you're going to run into a lot of issues. Your elbows will be here. You'll feel it in your wrists. You might feel it in your hands, which is no good. So what we need to do is we need to loosen this muscle up. So the question is, how do we loosen that lat muscle up? Well, there's a few options. The first one, and for me, the most effective, is using a foam roller to roll out the lats. Now, if you've never done this before, hey, just like anything with a foam roller, it's going to hurt a little bit, but it should be a slightly good pain, if you know what I mean, okay? So we have the foam roller here. I'm going to lay on my side, and as I get set up, I'm putting this foam roller at the top of my lat muscle, okay, or right by my armpit. Now, I like to start here with my hand on my ear, okay? You can use this hand to adjust how much pressure you have on the foam roller or on your lat, okay, and kind of intensify or detensify the stretch. So from here, I pick my hips up using my feet. I roll forward and backwards. I want to go down to the bottom of my ribs, okay, and all the way up to the armpit. Now, if you want more of a stretch here, you're going to straighten this arm out overhead, and this will intensify the stretch a little bit more. We can also use the barbell as it is to help us loosen our lats up. So first idea here is getting one elbow underneath and then the other, right? You can almost floss here. Almost think about getting your elbow as high as you can, bringing it back, making it a little bit dynamic, okay, by adding some movement in here. But the more that we can floss in and out with this barbell, okay, the more comfortable we're going to be getting into this position and loosening our lats up here. Another option to use a barbell to loosen the lats up includes using this very similar to how we did with the foam roller, okay, but we want to put this right in the armpit. You lean some weight into it, okay, and then you just roll up and down. This is a little bit less intense than the foam roller, but it gives you a little bit more control over where you want to feel this in your lat muscle here. Next, we're going to go over the placement of the bar. This is really the biggest aspect here of what makes the front squat comfortable or uncomfortable for you. If you get the placement of the bar right, a lot of times this fixes most, if not all, of our issues, okay? So one of the most common mistakes that I see when teaching the front squat is as people get into the front rack here, they think that they have to keep their full hand on the bar, okay? Now, a lot of times people will even have all of the weight in their hands and no weight on their shoulders, when in reality, this is an important concept. When we're front squatting, the majority of the weight of the bar should be on the shoulders and not in the hands. The hands are just here for balance, okay? This might feel okay with an empty barbell, but once you start adding weight, all of that stress is on your wrists and it's no good. So we need to learn how to put the majority of the weight of the bar into our shoulders and just use our hands for balance here. Now, if you can get the weight of the bar on your shoulders and maintain your full hand on the bar like this, that's great, okay? A lot of people struggle with this. So the easiest way to get around this is to let one or two fingers go. I like to say, let your pinky and your ring finger go, and then the bar is just in my fingertips of my ring finger and my pointer, or my ring finger and my middle finger, sorry, okay? It's not all the way in the palm. It's just on the fingertips, and this lets me get my elbows up much higher and gives me a much more comfortable position for when I get into my front squats. So continuing with the concept of where the bar placement should be when we're front squatting, next we're going to talk about shrugging our shoulders and pulling our head back to free up some space between the bar and our throat. So you get set up, elbows forward. I let my pinky and my ring finger go here. Now, a lot of times people will feel like this bar is driving into the front side of their throat. Okay, it feels like they're choking. Sometimes they'll get lightheaded because it's cutting off the blood supply to the brain. Okay, an easy way around this, there's two aspects to this, but an easy way around this is one, shrugging the shoulders up, and two, pulling the head back. Now, my throat is barely touching the bar now as compared to at first, right? It's driving into the front side. You can hear my voice change. So again, we want to think about shrugging the shoulders, pulling the head back. That's going to give you a much more comfortable position while you're front squatting. Okay, quick review of what we went over with our front squat tutorial today. First up was our lat mobility, right? You have to loosen up your lats, especially if you've never done it before. That will allow you to get your elbows much higher and get you into a much more comfortable position while we're front squatting. Second, we went over bar placement. Specifically, the weight of the bar should be mainly on your shoulders. Your hands are just there for balance. Make sure, especially if you let these two fingers go, make sure the bar is just on the fingertips of these two fingers. We don't want it in the palm, in the fingertips. And third, we went over how to create more space between the bar and our neck to help that blood flow to our brain so we're not as lightheaded, we don't feel like we're choking. Again, we shrug our shoulders up and we pull our head back. That creates more space between the bar and the neck. Now, we didn't go over any of the squat mechanics. I actually have a video, it's actually on the back squat, but the majority of this video will show you the actual mechanics of how to squat, whether you're front squatting, back squatting, goblet squatting, whatever type of squat you're doing. So I'll link it here. Check this video out to see the mechanics of the squat. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please throw me a like, throw me a subscribe. If you have other movements that you want to see tutorials on, please leave those down in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.